Federalist 68, Part 3. I kind of rushed through paragraph 7, so let me reread that part of the paragraph for you. But as a majority of the votes might not always happen to center on one man, and as it might be unsafe to permit less than a majority to be conclusive, it is provided that in such a contingency, the House of Representatives shall elect out of the candidates, who shall have the 5 highest number of votes, the man who, in their opinion, may be best qualified for the office. So if the number of electoral college votes ties for both top candidates, then the House will decide who will be the president. And he says the House will choose from the top 5 candidates who is best qualified, the most virtuous person for this office. This process of election affords a moral certainty that the office of president will seldom fall to the lot of any man who is not an eminent degree endowed with requisite qualifications. Talents for low intrigue and the little arts of popularity may alone suffice to elevate a man to the first honors in a single state, but it will require other talents and different kinds of merit to establish him in the esteem and confidence of the whole Union, or of so considerable a portion of it as would be necessary to make him a successful candidate for the distinguished office of the President of the United States. So imagine yourself 2 centuries ago, because of communication, because of how long it would take for people to go from one place to another, you would not run into too many people, you would not know too many people. So how would you find the best person to be the President of the United States? You might be very well informed, very well in touch with people, and maybe be knowledgeable enough, if you're really, really good, to know who might be the best person for to be the governor of your state. But the president for the 13 states, and it's going to be a union of more states. So he says, that's why we've chosen to give this responsibility to the House of Representatives if it happens, there happens to be a tie. It will not be too strong to say that there will be a constant problem of seeing the station filled by characters preeminent for ability and virtue. I might have messed this up with my microphone. Let me read this again. It will not be too strong to say that there will be a constant probability of seeing the station filled by characters preeminent for ability and virtue, and this will be thought no inconsiderable recommendation of the Constitution by those who are able to estimate the share which the executive in every government must necessarily have in its good or ill administration. Though we cannot acquiesce in the political heresy of the poet who says, For forms of government let fools contest, that which is best administered is best. That which is best administered is best. This is from a very famous essay by Alexander Pope, who Hamilton knows. A lot of these informed people that are going to be reading these Federalist Papers will know who it is by. He just takes it for granted. Yet may safely pronounce that the true test of a good government in its aptitude and tendency to produce a good administration. Okay, excuse me. The next paragraph talks about the vice president and also what happens if there is a tie there. The vice president is to be chosen in the same manner with the president, with this difference that the Senate is to do, in respect to the former, what is to be done by the House of Representatives in respect to the latter. This might be considered one of the dumbest things they did in the convention. The mode they chose to elect the vice president. And as you will see later on by an amendment, they fixed it. But I think this might be one of the dumbest things they did. The appointment of an extraordinary person as vice president has been objected to as superfluous, if not mischievous. It has been alleged that it would have been preferable to have authorized the Senate to elect out of their own body an officer answering to that description. But two considerations seem to justify the ideas of the convention in this respect. One is that to secure at all times the possibility of a definitive resolution of the body, it's necessary that the president should have only a casting vote, and to take the senator of any state from his seat as senator to place him in that of president of the Senate would be to exchange in regard to the state from which he came a constant for a contingent vote. The other consideration is that as the vice president may occasionally become a substitute for the president in the supreme executive magistracy, all the reasons which recommend the mode of election prescribed for the one apply with great, if not with equal force, to the manner of appointing the other. It is remarkable that in this, as in most other instances, the objection which is made would lie against the Constitution of this state. We have a lieutenant governor, he's talking about the state of New York, chosen by the people at large, who presides in the Senate and is the constitutional substitute for the governor in casualties similar to those which would authorize the vice president to exercise the authorities and discharge the duties of the president. When I said this is the dumbest part of what the convention did, I'm not talking about the part that I read. I'm talking about the part that they said the person who gets the second highest vote will become the vice president. And they found out what a mess that was with John Adams becoming president and his vice president. It just kind of created a lot of chaos. Not very smart on the part of the founders. So this electoral college, as I told you in the first part, is actually very important, very interesting. You're going to think about it a lot, I'm sure, over the next years, if not decades, because it is something that is going to be challenged the way it is. Now, what the resolution is, I don't know, but the way it is set up right now, it has a corrupting tendency. That's the part that, if I were to give you my opinion, the way it is right now, unfortunately, it is not good for the future of this system if this continues to go on. So I'll stop giving you my opinion, and I'll stick to the text.